Well, it's 1 minute past the hour, so let's get started. Already got a pretty good size audience, and no wonder, because I think it's going to be an exciting AMA. There's a whole lot to discuss with Starcard sports games, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one runs over the hour, but as I believe Ryan mentioned earlier, this is being recorded, so we'll make the full recording available along with some highlight snippets for anyone who can't join or has to drop out partway through. Also worth noting, you may have seen the TipCC bot is now up to speed with ARC tokens, so I wouldn't be surprised if at some point during this AMA there is an odd airdrop or two, maybe both here and in the Starcard Discord as well. So if you're not a member over there, you might want to sort that out while we're speaking. Make sure you're ready for any potential airdrops that may or may not happen. But yeah, as I said, exciting times. We've got Ryan as well, who's back online here with us after his holiday, which I hope didn't feature ARC too much. Good to kind of have a little bit of a break and be able to recharge somewhat. And
no, just a bunch of Discord pings.
There's no escaping the Discord pings. And I think we've got potentially another member from the Starcard Sports team joining us as well later on. Is that right?
We do. Alex is with us, and he's likely to join us in a bit. He's in the audience at the moment, but he may join us in a moment.
Okay, great. Well, perhaps we should crack on, and if you'd like to give us a bit of an overview of your plans for Starcard Sports, and maybe also on that note, the team behind the project.
Absolutely. So thanks a lot, Nick. It's great to be here. I'm really excited about today and getting to share a little bit about what we're doing and where we're going, and talk about our partnership, because it's something that we think is very, very important. So I'm really looking forward to it. My name is Steve Schechter. I'm the CEO of Starcard Sports Games. Alex is with us. Alex is our community manager. He's going to be working a similar role to what Ryan does for ARC, but he's also going to be involved in our Legends program, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then third member of our team is Mamadou Mboji, who we just called Mo. Mo is not able to be with us today because, interestingly enough, Mo is a superstar dart competitor, and he's at a high-level dart tournament in Las Vegas. So unfortunately, that's an annual event that coincides. So he's there, but Mo is our CTO, brilliant guy who's actually been involved in some of our other companies, and has overseen a lot of really important product development initiatives for our other companies. So he's a key part of our team as well. Nick, shall I just sort of dive into what we're about and what we're looking to do?
Yeah, maybe that's the best way forward. I know that you're very capable of providing a great overview of the project without too many prompts. So maybe, yeah, if you just want to run with a bit of a summary, and then after that we can deep dive into some of the more interesting points, of which I'm sure there will be a lot.
Absolutely. That's great. So just to give a little bit of backstory here, and it is relevant to bring us to where we are today, we actually have an ecosystem of companies that are all football related companies. Just for the audience out there, when I say football, I'm talking about soccer, depending on what part of the world you're in. You may use either term, but I tend to use football. So we have an ecosystem of companies that are in the football space. One is a platform called Tap and Mobile Solutions, which is really it's a league management and also social vertical platform for football. It is launched. The company is about 3 years old, 2.5 years old. It's launched in a couple different countries and is running the youth football national leagues in several countries. Another company in our ecosystem is called Pala Sportswear. Pala is a new football brand that launched only a year ago. And Pala was really created to provide all of the uniforms and balls and shin guards, et cetera, for all the kids that are playing in these national youth leagues. Many of them are in developing nations and cannot afford products from companies like Adidas and Nike, et cetera. And so Pala is able to meet the needs of kids sort of at all levels of the socioeconomic spectrum. And then, of course, the company that we're here to talk about today is Starcard Sports Games. Starcard Sports Games is a brand new project. And when I say brand new, literally, this has come into existence over the course of the last 90 days. The token was recently created, and we've just done an initial small friends and family sale for people that are involved with the various companies that are involved. And Starcard Sports Games is looking to do something very unique. We are, for the first time, trying to be a blockchain, a GameFi project that will digitize human performance and bring athletes into a metaverse and into avatars to play in GameFi games. And what I mean by that is we are working with the Tapin platform to take all of the kids that are on that platform and have them have an avatar, a digital version of themselves that will become more successful and stronger in terms of their attributes in our metaverse game based on their actual real world performance. So it's something that has not been done yet, something that we think is really unique. We are also bridging the digital divide for at the professional level, which I can talk a little bit about as we get along here, some of our partnerships. But we're looking to bring folks that are at the professional level also into our game and bridging the digital divide between their real human selves and their avatars in our metaverse. So that's a 50,000 foot level overview. I'll just add that Starcard Sports Games actually is called Starcard Sports Games because we foresee creating mini games across multiple sports. We are obviously starting with football because it is the biggest sport globally. It is where we have significant domain expertise and some reach and influence in global football. But we do anticipate replicating our model in multiple sports in the future.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. So,
Yes.
so if I've got this right, it sounds like we've got the best of both worlds here in that Starcard Sports itself is relatively new. So to use a phrase, we're still early. But not only that, you've got already, as you mentioned, these existing companies in place, ready to support. You've got the reach and the influence, the experience in the industry and the connections. It sounds like it's all there, and it's just about ready to coalesce into Starcard Sports. Would that be probably the right way of summarizing it?
I think it's a great way of summarizing it. We as a group, and when I say we, I'm talking about the group that's also behind the other companies. Tapin has a large investor base, a sophisticated investor base, a great advisory group, strong employees, and lots of relationships and influence around the world in terms of football. So being able to bring that into this project, and to bring the players that are on that platform, and bring them over into this project is something that just gives us an immediate head start as a company. So it's, when I started to go down the rabbit hole and learn about blockchain, et cetera, only about a year ago that I really started getting excited about it. The idea coalesced that we have a unique opportunity to be able to get into the GameFi space, which I think we all know is an explosive space, in a way that no one else is doing because of the other properties that we have. And so, yeah, it's sort of day one for Starcard Sports Games, but it's very different than most new projects.
That's certainly exciting when I think about the potential there. For those in the audience who may not be much of a sports fan, perhaps you didn't get to read all the way down to the bottom of my Medium article explaining the partnership, just to emphasize the importance of Starcard, starting out with the football or the soccer world. There's some pretty impressive stats. It's obviously an incredibly popular game worldwide, right? We're talking everywhere from some of the developing nations with the fastest population growth to some of the wealthiest parts of the world at the other end of the spectrum. So really there are no boundaries when it comes to football. Some estimates put the number of players to be 265 million across the world. Not professional. We're talking about everyone who just enjoys getting out on the field and kicking the ball around. And then the past World Cup, the viewing statistics was 3.5 billion views. And of course, there are multiple games, but people would tend to, as I understand it correctly, follow their home team or watch some of the kind of main events towards the end of the event. So that doesn't mean that half the world watched it. Obviously, some people watched multiple times, but still, in terms of a single sport and a single event, that's a lot of coverage. And certainly, if you've ever seen footage of some of the, shall we say, passionate fans when it comes to the energy in these stadiums around these games, it should be pretty clear as to why it makes sense to start in the football world. And obviously, aside from the fact that it sounds like your entire team, which is fully doxed, which we like to see here at ARC as well. It sounds like you've got a lot of experience there. And on that note of having a lot of things in common, I believe you touched on Paula, was it, the apparel company, being able to kind of provide apparel to people who people who may not otherwise be able to afford it. That sounds like a great initiative, and I think it aligns well with some of the founding principles that TJ has kind of instilled into ARC, right? With the revenue sharing, us giving half of the revenue back to investors. TJ is all about prosperity for others, not wanting to hoard all of the proceeds, which we know a lot of crypto companies out there do. So yeah, it sounds great that you guys have that founding principle there as well. Is there anything else you can kind of share with us on this side of things as Starcard Sports grows up?
Sure.
Does this project specifically have any plans to engage in some of this activity as well?
Absolutely. So all of our companies are social impact companies. The investors in our other companies are social impact investors, meaning that they look for good business opportunities that also, make the world a better place. And so our core ethos really does revolve around positive social impact. Tapin's first market that it launched in was in Haiti through a partnership with the Football Federation in Haiti. The other countries that it has, that it is the official youth league, national league, are Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and Ghana. So these are all developing markets, and Tapin's mission really was to create means for kids that don't have an opportunity to play organized football in proper leagues with referees and with uniforms in some of these markets, for them to be able to do that, and for us to be able to facilitate that through technology. So that is the core ethos. Paula is a one-for-one company. For those of you that are not familiar with the one-for-one model, that simply means that for each product that is purchased in the North American marketplace, a similar product is donated for free to one of the youth that's playing in one of the Tappan Youth National Leagues. So Paula's a one-for-one company, and Starcard will have its own social mission. We are tackling the what really is one of the biggest sort of pushbacks, I would say, in the crypto world, and that is the challenge of ESG and environmental impact. So we're taking that on head on. The entire game backstory for New World Football Alliance is about fighting climate change through players playing in the game. The hub of the universe in the metaverse there is called the Green Pavilion. In the Green Pavilion, we're going to have partners that are NGOs, environmental NGOs, such as Sierra Club, where we will be able to drive players to interact with those NGOs, as well as drive revenue to those NGOs. So Starcard Sports, just like our other companies, is a social impact company with its focus on doing what we can to try to fight climate change.
That's a great goal to have, and obviously I'm sure we're all aware that it's something that's often mentioned in the media when it comes to cryptocurrencies. So yeah, that's great. And I recall hearing something about where are we? The Legends program, which sounds exciting, and it sounds like this touches in with what you said earlier about the name of the project being Starcard Sports, right? Specifically talking about stars or legends or very well-known football players who we know have huge followings, and as I understand it, some of the largest social media accounts when it comes to Instagram and Twitter are some of the top footballers worldwide. What are the plans to develop this side of things, as opposed to, say, your more casual player with the whole? So maybe explain a little bit on the whole star angle of this.
Absolutely. So this is, I don't know if this is really an announcement here, because I think that word is already out a little bit, but for most people that are on here, they may not have yet heard. But we're able to officially announce today that we are partnering with ICM Stellar. ICM Stellar is the world's largest football agency. They have about $10 billion in player value under contract, and some of the top players in the world, people like Gareth Bale and Grealish, etc. Hundreds of players across Europe and North America under contract. They are the most valuable agency as well. We're partnering with ICM Stellar to launch what we're calling the Legends of Football program, and what this is going to do is we are going to have some of the best known names of football legends that have now retired from the game come into our ecosystem. They'll be brand ambassadors for us. We will be producing, minting, and selling their NFT series for them. So we will be their NFT sort of solution. They will, most exciting in my opinion, is that we're actually now, I talked about bridging the divide between athletes and sort of the digital world. They will be able to interact with our players and with our users and their fans in our metaverse. And what I mean by that is they will actually announce times and locations in our metaverse that they will appear for speaking events. And their fans will be able to purchase NFT tickets to be able to go into the cafe or the bar or the stadium, wherever they're going to be appearing at the appropriate time. And those NFT tickets basically get them into that event so that those famous players can interact with their fans, speak to them, do sort of what we're doing here, answering questions, etc. And there will be multiple tiers to the Legends program, meaning that one NFT tier will get you admission to get into an event like this. Another will enable you to ask a question during the event. and another level will enable you to get into all of that Legends events. Another NFT level will enable you to get into all of the Legends events. And then there will be a highest level NFT that will enable you to have a one-on-one experience with your favorite legend, which means one-on-one in the metaverse, them talking in their voice, you talking in your voice with your avatars, and getting to have that interaction with your football hero. So it's something that is, we think, incredibly unique. It's something that we think is going to make us a very, very well-known project. Some of these legends, people like Ronaldinho and Thierry Henry, etc., have many millions of followers, the ability to reach a lot of fans and bring them into things. So we think that obviously we have the grassroots and users and players from the kids, but we think that this gives us global marketing reach. So we're really, really excited about it. ICM Stellar has just started their work. We've given them a list of 40 players. They will work to get agreements in place for us. The terms have already been outlined with 5 players to start. So very exciting, and just kicking off right now.
That sounds quite big. I'm not sure if I fully appreciate the significance of that. I mean, that's huge, right? We're talking about partnering with one of the biggest names in one of the biggest sports worldwide. The kind of connections that you'll get, the kind of visibility, it's just incredible. That's probably the largest chunk of alpha I've ever heard drop on an AMA ever. So
Nick,
very exciting.
Nick, we're aspiring to be the world's biggest GameFi project. Period. We want to be bigger than Axie. We want to be bigger than Star Atlas. We want to be the biggest GameFi project in the world. That's our mission. Obviously, a very, very long way to go to get there. But we have really high aspirations, and we think that we've got the partnerships in place, and the resources in place to give us a good fighting chance to do that.
Well, I think if there's anything that, as I said earlier, really has no boundaries and is applicable worldwide, it's probably sports, right? Everyone in the world just about either plays or follows, or at the very least is aware of, popular sports in their country or their community. And starting with football, progressing into other sports with similar fan bases. And then from there, it sounds like a pretty easy jump across towards esports. And you pretty much just got the entire world wrapped up as a potential market. It's a pretty solid business plan, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting to think too. Sports is kind of a universal language, right? All these people in different countries can all come together in this metaverse and jump to a city, say Paris, and I'll have you explain that more here in a second, Shaq, don't worry. So they can all jump to Paris coming from, South Africa and Mexico. They can come together, meet in Paris, and meet together on the pitch, right? It doesn't matter that they don't speak the same language, come from different parts of the world. It doesn't matter. They can all just come together over the passion for the sport that they have and enjoy a match, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And you mentioned Paris. So just to touch on that a little bit, the New World Football Alliance metaverse is going to be comprised of 16 cities. Actually, Paris is not one of them, believe it or not. So in Europe, Rome is one, London is one, and Munich is one. But they're spread across the world. They include Rio, Buenos Aires, Nairobi, Cairo, Seoul. You can find the list on the site and in our white paper. But you basically, when you onboard into the game, you will come in through the green pavilion, which is where the Arc Bank will be, and we can talk a little bit about that. And in the center of the green pavilion is a giant spinning globe, a massive spinning globe, and you'll be able to touch on your device on the city that you want to go to, and you'll teleport to that city. All of this is going to be built in UE5 with our AAA game dev studio, which we can also talk about. But yeah, we're really excited about how this can connect people around the world. Obviously, football is sort of the anchor of this, but I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of different creative ways that people can interact and conduct commerce, etc. Great opportunities for our metaverse landowners in the 16 cities. So,
just like to jump in here and say, I'll do an airdrop shortly in the AMA questions channel. So make sure, if you're listening, you want to click into that channel, have it up. It'll be on a relatively short timer. So just make sure you're paying attention. I'll ask one more question for Steve, and then I'll get into typing this airdrop. Not the best at doing two things at once. So while Steve's talking, I can get that airdrop underway. Perhaps now is a good time to talk about the tokenomics. I know there's a lot of things we could still discuss about the project, but I'm sure this is at the front of everyone's minds right now in terms of the tokenomics side of things. So obviously, as you've said, the project is relatively new. So what that means is that we're some of the first people to really hear about your plans, hear about the potential. And if there was anyone who was thinking about becoming involved in the project, investing, what would they have to know in terms of what you've set up for tokenomics, potentially rounds of investment, vesting, locks, all that sort of thing that people might want to know so they can make an informed decision?
Sure. Yeah, I can speak to that. So first off, for anyone that's listening, all of this is available in our white paper, which is available from the website, which is starcardsports.games. There's a section on tokenomics, so you can go and sort of review this in further detail, but I'll take a stab at as much detail as I can here. So the core tokenomics or breakdown, 15% is allocated to the founders of the project. 40% has been allocated to gameplay, meaning that it is locked for some period of time until New World Football Alliance actually comes out. And those tokens will be earned by player success and participation in the game itself. 125 million SCSG tokens are being allocated to raising capital and some initial sales, which we can also talk about. 100 million are allocated to treasury. So these will be available to the team for marketing purposes and development. And 25 million are being allocated to airdrop, of which ARC and its community are probably the largest beneficiary of that, which we can also talk a little bit about. I guess, why don't I go back to token sales? There are 4 rounds coming up for those that have interest in owning the SCSG token. The first is scheduled right now for 4/15. It is, I guess I'm going to call it sort of semi-private in that it's not being done on a launch pad. It is being done through our own service, similar to what we did with the initial small friends and family round. In that round, we were raising $250,000 at a estimated price of a penny per SCSG. All of these rounds are being done on the Polygon chain using Matic. Then on May 15th, a month later, we're doing our first rounds on launch pads. That will be a larger raise priced at 4 cents, meaning 4x that initial round. That will be spread across 3 or 4 different launch pads. And then the 3rd and 4th are also being done on launch pads at 6 cents and 8 cents on 6/1 and 6/15. We then plan to be listed probably just after that last one, around July 1st. So that's sort of the plan. All of that can be found again on our site and in our white paper for those that have interest in participating. Another, I guess, Nick, if I could just talk a little bit about the utility of our token.
Please do, yeah.
Because it's obviously should be on everyone's mind. We're modeling what we're doing in large part after what you're doing at ARC, and that's you sort of caught our attention a few months ago, and I definitely want to talk about the partnership and how we ended up with you, et cetera. But we're modeling this largely how you all are doing things in that we're sharing 50% of the revenue with our token holders. So if we sell $2 million in a particular player's NFT, $1 million is going to our token holders. So that's the primary, I guess, utility of owning our token. We do envision in the future there being a governance component, but we think that's a little bit of a ways off. But the primary utility is that revenue will be shared back to the token owners. Nick, I don't know if I caught you still writing or if I should just go on. I could.
No, yeah. You mentioned a few months ago you got interested in ARC, right? Do you want to dive a bit deeper into that?
Yes. Yeah. So I would say sometime in December I got wind of ARC, and I just started kind of poking around, and I realized, wait, this isn't like just another DEX. This group is actually looking to do something really interesting. They're looking to make crypto more frictionless for users and sort of connect the dots. It's all so confusing for people that are new. I think we all know that. So the idea of creating, one landing place, one hub where you could sort of do everything and do it in minimal clicks, really got me excited. I didn't know anything about aggregation. I started poking around, learned a little bit about 1inch, and just dug more into the project. And then over the course of the next month, I would say I spent time in the Discord, and it just really resonated with me, the quality of the team, and the people that are involved and the way that you are handling things. It also, the community itself really excited me. The people that are in your Discord are incredibly positive, and I don't see that in all Discords. They're very helpful to each other. Ryan, you can actually go on vacation and people can help each other. And I noticed that too. So I was like, this is an incredible, where they're going with their product is incredible. The team itself are good people, and they're accessible. And the community is really positive and strong. Not a massive community, but a nice sized community that's really, really positive and gets it and supports the project. So I fell in love with ARC, after a couple of weeks of just sort of observing.
Another just quick intermission to say that I have dropped a few tokens in the Starcard Sports Discord. So if you haven't jumped across there, now might be the time to do so. And I think, Ryan, did you have... I think you had a question. Was it about the cities or something before we did a bit of a tangent over to tokenomics? Was there
he talked about that. I just dropped we should make a Paris one at some point nonchalantly in there. And then it was like 5 minutes of him complimenting all the work I did in Discord, and I kind of got distracted.
Understandable.
Earlier you mentioned the real world stats to NFTs, right? Kind of bringing that in. Do you want to expand on that just a little bit, Shaq, on how your company plans on doing this and really bridging real world performance to in-game assets?
Sure. Yeah. So one thing that is very unique about Tapin is is the entire sort of game management process. And again, this is predominantly at the youth level, of which obviously there are millions and millions and millions of players around the world. The platform enables the referee at the end of each match to submit a post-match report. In the developing nations markets, the referees are actually paid when they submit that report. So they're incented to submit that report. That's how they get paid. And on that report through the platform, they're capturing who got yellow cards and red cards, who scored goals, etc. And after they've submitted their post-match report, that then triggers an alert to the two coaches for a match. And the two coaches are asked to do a number of things. One, rate the referees, rate the quality of the field, etc. But more importantly, to select the top players from the opposing team. So we're aggregating a lot of information and data about players, about youth players. This obviously is a lot of sort of real world value and application for the football federations that are trying to identify talent in their countries, etc. But what it enables us to do is it enables us to know a lot about players. And we're going to build a link to bring that player data over to New World Football Alliance. So a kid that is playing real life football will be invited over to New World Football Alliance and told, we can create your avatar. It's free for you as a kid that's on Tapin. And your stats will impact your avatar. So if you score a goal in real life, or if you get a card in real life, or you get shots on goal, etc., the attributes will increment for your player in our metaverse. So it's definitely unique. It hasn't been done. There are complexities around privacy and kids, etc., which are very, very important to us, and they have been with Tapin, that we're very focused on. But it is a really, really unique game. It's not just a game. It's really bridging, the real game with the gaming game. And part of the reason why this sort of came to me is because I coach as well. And I see, my 16 and 17-year-old kids, they play, and then almost as soon as they're off the field, they're in their cars getting rides home, and they're playing games on their mobile devices, and they're trash talking with each other, and etc. It's really the two things that I see kids are sort of interested and passionate about. So we want to combine the two.
Is now maybe a good time to address a few questions that have been posted in the AMA questions chat before I got everyone distracted with airdrops. So I'll just scroll back to this.
Before we do that, can I ask a question? Before we do that, I'd love to talk a little bit about the partnership and sort of what we're doing to kind of support each other. Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. But perhaps, just a reminder to everyone, we will get to those questions eventually. So, please don't think you've been forgotten or skipped. Do post them in that AMA questions channel if you have anything. And let's talk about how ARC and Starcard can work together. So I'm sure everyone's seen the partnership announcement, which is why you're here. I'll just quickly run over a few of those points to get everyone up to speed. So it was about 24 hours or so ago, we announced there's that Medium article there, which goes into some great detail, which I'd encourage everyone to read. But some of these highlights are, as we've just heard, Starcard is building a revolutionary sports gaming metaverse. They're utilizing ARC's NFT technology. So that's the marketplace that is being finalized as we speak. 10% of the revenue generated by Starcard is being paid to ARC, which of course, like all revenue streams, will then be shared with the community 50-50. we've got transactions within the Starcard sports metaverse world, which will create buying pressure for ARC token. There's going to be an airdrop of 5 million Starcard tokens to top ARC holders. And the final point was the AMA, which is happening right now. So a few points to cover off there. Maybe we should start with these, since I'm sure this is what people have been thinking about. And then if there's anything at the end, Steve, that you want to add on, we can cover that. So perhaps, let's cover that point first about the ARC NFT technology and about how you guys will be utilizing the platform that we're finalizing.
Yep, that's right. So all of our NFTs are going to be running through the ARC platform. We are sharing instead of the 1% that ARC is generating, we are sharing 10% of that revenue, which is significantly more, obviously. We have very good reason for doing that. Number one, we are also ARC holders and big supporters. We want to see ARC as a project. We want to see its revenue grow and be successful. We have a vested interest in that happening. Number two, we see ARC as not just a partner, but almost the engine to what we're doing. In other words, as I looked at this, I had two options here. One was, let's raise more capital. Let's build our own tools that will support the DeFi functions in our gaming platform, or let's partner with someone else that is already doing that and is doing it well. So we made the decision that is not our domain expertise. Quite frankly, we could very well make big mistakes there. And so we did not go the build approach. We instead went with this partnership approach. So all of the ARC, all of the DeFi functions that will happen within our games will all have ARC tools as their sort of underpinning. So when a player wants to return to the bank after playing in the game, they will visit the ARC bank and they will deposit or stake if they want to swap to another token from the SCSG token or from the ARC token. They will swap to another token, and that will be leveraging ARC's technology. There is a farm in the game where players can go and plant a tree in the farm, which essentially is a farming function underneath it. And that will be ARC's underlying technology. So ARC is not just sort of an ancillary partnership for us. It is, I almost view this and feel like this is a merger in some ways. We are two separate projects, of course, but that's how fundamentally important ARC is to us. That they're extremely important strategic partners for us, and so that's why we're doing that much bigger revenue share, and also why we want to reward the ARC community with a nice size airdrop.
Hey, you can merge with me anytime. I like what I hear, and it's very clear that a lot of thought has been put into the future of Starcard Sports. I really love that tree idea, right? Like, not only does it kind of link to the name of farming, but you also are tying back to that whole global warming idea, right? I see quite often, I guess, just around the wider crypto world, even within our own communities, things that I might take for granted, that I might think are very straightforward in terms of how to stake or farm. Even single-sided can be confusing, connecting wallets and tying transactions and all of this. So I think that's certainly something that needs to be done in terms of looking at the road to mass adoption, right? Is to make a lot of these tasks, which can appear to be complex and confusing and alien, and have some kind of overlay that relates it to a task that everyone's familiar with, and the whole idea of planting a tree, having it grow, and provide benefits over a longer time frame. I think it will resonate with a lot of people. So, just one of many points that you've made that clearly shows the amount of work that's been put into this project.
It's really the beauty of GameFi. GameFi is really a wrapper around DeFi, and it's enabling everyday users, mass adoption, for people to really participate in DeFi without almost knowing that they're participating in DeFi through games and functions that people are used to, going to a bank, depositing money, etc. So on the farm piece, Alex actually he came up with a lot of the conceptual stuff with this. The player will be able to walk to the farm, purchase a sapling. That purchase is the equivalent of the fee that ARC charges for the initial fee for farming or participating in a stake. So purchase a sapling. They will then be able to choose a spot in the farm to plant their sapling. And then over time, as they're playing the game, if they come back, whatever, they can walk back over to the farm and they can see that tree has grown a little bit. And that growth represents the rewards that they have earned in their tree. At any time, they can harvest that tree, which is basically the DeFi function of unstaking. And at the time that they do that, 10% of all player revenue goes to the environmental NGO that they selected when they onboarded. So if they earned, 2,000 SCSG farming during that time, 200 of those will go to whichever of our NGO partners they selected when they onboarded. So there's a whole lot of connecting the dots of social impact and DeFi all sort of built into the game.
Amazing. I think we covered most of those points, but there was one that I'm sure people are wanting to know a bit more about, which maybe I can share a few details, which is the token airdrop to top ARC holders. So we're still working through the specifics and the mechanics of how this is going to work. I can share with you the intent, though. If you're concerned that it's only going to go to the top 5 or a dozen wallets, that's not what's going to happen. We just wanted to make sure we'd manage everyone's expectations, and that there will likely be some minimum token number, not very high at all, but we'll communicate that in the future once it's firmed up, as in there'll be a minimum token number of ARC tokens that are required to qualify for the airdrop. Again, it's not going to be incredibly high, but do keep an eye out for that when we can provide some more clarity. There are also likely to be additional opportunities to earn a slightly higher share of those SC/SG tokens as well. And on that note, I did notice a few questions around the place about the private sale and opportunities to invest. It does sound like there is some interest. So maybe Steve, if you could, I know you've already touched on this before, but just to reiterate, if there was someone in the audience right now with a whole stack of stablecoins burning a hole in their MetaMask, what are their options in terms of obviously after doing their own due diligence? And obviously this is not financial advice in any way, but if someone was interested in the possibility of investing, what could they do? What steps would they have to take? Where could they get some more information about the opportunities available right now?
Sure. So we'll continue to sort of share information as we're getting closer to this date, but April 15th is going to be that first round. Again, the token will be priced at 1 penny. It's not going to be marketed in the traditional sense broadly, using a launchpad or other more traditional marketing means. It's intended to really be mostly for the ARC community. Of course, there will be quite a few people, I'm sure, that are not part of the ARC community that participate. But the point is that we want to try to create an opportunity for ARC folks to participate as early as possible. So that's happening on 4/15. It will be run the same way that we did the initial friends and family very small round, which if you go to the starcardsports.games website, click on token, you'll see the schedule. You'll see the vesting schedule. There is a vesting schedule, and the dates, etc. There's a clock ticking down. As of now, we haven't talked about whitelisting, but maybe that's something we should discuss if we want to try to really ensure that ARC folks get an opportunity. I can talk about that with the ARC team, but as of right now, that isn't necessarily part of the plan. I don't know, Nick, if that helps. After that, the next round will be the first what I would call sort of public round that will be marketed more aggressively. That will be on several launch pads. That will be at 4 cents, and that will be sort of a little bit more of the traditional route. Nick, did that help?
Yeah, it did. Thanks. And I've just dropped that URL in the AMA questions chat. So yes, you do.
There is vesting for that. So the all of the investors in rounds 1 through 4, 10% will be unlocked right away, and then they will release 10% per month over 9 months. So they'll all be fully unlocked near the end of the year.
All right, that's great. That sounds like a pretty solid vesting schedule as well. So good to hear that. And yeah, it sounds like you've got the best of both worlds going, right? In terms of this early opportunity, but then later on moving into more of a, I suppose, traditional round of utilizing launch pads and all the benefits that come out of that in terms of building awareness and building community, both of which we know are critical to a project's success. So yeah, just a reminder, I guess, to everyone that that we are still in the early stages, but it's great to have this opportunity for once, as you know, as retail investors. So yeah, were there any other points on this topic that we had to cover, or should we get to a few questions?
Nothing else from me.
All right, let's get through a few of these questions then.
I got one queued up and ready if we are.
All right, let's go.
Fire away.
So, I got a couple of questions that actually inadvertently or intentionally, I'm not sure, kind of coincide and go along with each other. So, in terms of actual NFTs, what exactly will people be able to buy? NFTs of players, shirts, pictures of players, etc., cleats, jerseys, signed cards. And then I kind of know the answer to this, but how can these also help improve stats in the game as well?
Absolutely. Okay, so thanks for that question. So the first NFTs that we'll launch are called the Pala series. They will include Pala products. The first of them is the Pala radar ball. I can share images, although I don't know. Actually, I can't multitask. Alex, if you want, perhaps you can share an image. I'm not sure if you're able to do that. But the first will be the Pala radar ball. The team at Janai Team is just starting this work. Literally today is their first day. So we're hoping that this will be out around the time of this first round, about 2 weeks from now. Obviously, we also want to sort of sync with ARC on the launch of the actual marketplace. So we're sort of coordinating together a bit. That NFT will be just to describe what it will look like. It will be a slowly spinning almost acrylic looking case. And inside that acrylic case will be the ball. It will be available in 3 color schemes, which really are tiers. So emerald being the lowest tier, sapphire being the second tier, and ruby being the third tier. The people that purchase the Pala Radar Ball NFT, there are multiple utilities for it. The case can be opened or unlocked once it's been purchased, or it can be left unlocked and sold in the secondary market. If it's unlocked, it will release several utilities. One is it triggers an order to Pala for the shipment of that ball for free. So basically, if you've purchased that NFT, you've also purchased the ball, the real life ball that will match identically. Another utility is the Pala Radar Ball will increase the shooting power of the player that has it in the New World Football Alliance. The Emerald Ball will increase that by 10 attribute points, the Sapphire by 20, and the Ruby by 30 attribute points. So it has utility in the game. Your avatar in New World Football Alliance will have that actual ball at his feet when playing. Just want to clarify one thing. New World Football Alliance, all of the games are individual player, meaning it's not 11 against 11. It's one player against one player on a small field to small goals, or small football challenges, shooting, dribbling, juggling, etc. Games and contests. So it's not 11v11, just so that everyone's aware. So the player will have that ball at their feet. So those are different utilities that the ball has. Again, it will be available at different prices based on the color scheme. There are 5 of those Pala products that will be released as NFTs. The Pala Radar Ball is first. After that is the Aurora kit. We didn't talk about Aurora, but Aurora is a polar bear and is the mascot of the game, and is our champion for fighting climate change. And she's very important to the game's backstory. So the Pala Aurora jersey is the second one. Again, similar in this sort of acrylic case. It can be unlocked, and it has utility in the game as far as speed. And then the jersey itself will be shipped to the person that unlocks it. There's a pair of shin guards, Pala Armor Guards. Same functionality, different attributes in the game, but the actual shin guards will be shipped. And then the last one is the Pala Pana shoes, which is a sort of a lifestyle street shoe, indoor soccer shoe that is in development. So that's not the shoe itself that's not coming out until probably fall. So whoever holds that, won't get those shipped to them until the fall. But that's the first series. And then after that, the first NFTs with legends are likely to come early summer. So that's going to involve NFT tickets before the metaverse is built. It's going to enable people to have access to Discords with the legend. Once the metaverse is built, it will enable them to bring their avatar into a location in the metaverse, do something like a Discord, basically. Those will start to be released early summer, probably June. Ryan, did I lose you?
Nope. That was okay. That was good. Yeah, I'm excited for all the upcoming stuff you've got. I know somebody was asking. I'm not sure you touched on it too much as well. The metaverse. What you want to speak a little bit on the game developer you chose?
Sure. Yep. So we're partnering with a group called Janai Team. Janai Team is. We've been talking to them for a couple of months now. We narrowed down from 3 different choices, essentially. We were very impressed with the quality of the games that they've developed so far. They are, I think, ahead on sort of GameFi and Metaverse and NFT projects, meaning this is not like their first one or second one. They're deep in it and have been in it. Not a lot of groups have deep domain expertise in this space, obviously, because it's really a very new space in general. But they would be one that does have that. So we're excited to work with them, and we plan to. They're going to be also developing our game backstory trailer, so the video trailer that sort of tells the backstory of New World Football Alliance. They're also going to be developing a first-person view of our metaverse, of the Green Pavilion and Starcard Sports Games Stadium, which is a big stadium near the Green Pavilion, and the plaza around it. They're going to be developing both of those over the course of the next 60 days or so. So we plan to release sort of sneak peeks of, here's the first 10 seconds, just so that folks can kind of see the progress and see how things are coming along.
Just going through all of these questions in here, guys. If you have more questions, just drop them in the text channel as well. Let's see. Looks like Alex got that picture in their Discord for you guys to look at as well for that Paula ball. So a couple questions about cost and kind of time frame. I know you kind of touched on it for the 60 days as well. They're wondering if you were willing to answer any other timelines for the remaining about it. And you mentioned the first iteration will be 1v1s and some of those other mini game styles. As far as the development, will it be over time? Will you add more kind of mini games and activities for people to do and challenges against each other in the open world? And then what kind of style did you end up going with for the game? Is it more pixelated like Minecraft kind of deal, or is it more closer towards the Unreal Engine, more lifelike?
Yeah, we definitely are going with much more lifelike. I mean, I like to say cinematic type of look using UE5. I would say one game that might give a little bit of a sense of the flavor of it is a FIFA Street game. That's an Xbox game. Only insofar as that game has sort of one-on-one and it has some creativity with it in terms of sort of juggling and things like that. So that might be the closest thing in terms of a feel for it. But it's an RPG style game. Players will teleport to a city. They will be dropped on about 100 meters away from a famous square in each city. They will then walk down that street towards that square. They'll see all of the metaverse land owners, property owners on either side, which may be shops or billboards. Some of them might be interactive. Some of them might just be branding. And then they will reach the square. They'll be greeted by Aurora, who is a polar bear, who is the mascot. And Aurora will explain to them what's happening in that square and give them a challenge. So Aurora might say, take someone on in one-on-one in the square, and I'll give you X number of SCSG tokens if you win, or hit the Paula billboard from such and such distance, and I'll give you X SCSG tokens, etc. So that will be sort of the feel of the game. Again, in each of these 16 cities, when you teleport, you'll land near a famous square in that city, and you'll have to walk a short distance to that square, passing all of the metaverse holders. You can interact with those folks as you're going, so that's not necessarily participating in the game itself. But you make your way towards that square. Aurora will give you a challenge, and then you will take on that challenge in that square.
Nice. And George wants to know, if you had to pick a sports icon as an ambassador, who would you like to have? And I'm going to tack on and why.
Oh, this is interesting.
I know it's
Good
tough.
luck answering that one.
Yeah. Wow. So many. There are a lot of people that I that I think I would answer this with. I really like, I think Thierry Henry I like Thierry Henry a lot. I loved him as a player. I also love that he stands for, racial justice and racial equality, and that he doesn't just say that. He lets his actions say that. He actually just recently said he's not participating in any social media until he sees FIFA do a better job of curtailing racism in the game. So I just think he's a good person, was a phenomenal player, and now he's a manager. So I guess that would be someone near the top of my list. Alex, anyone come to your mind?
I think for me it would probably be Pirlo. I think just someone who has supported the Italian national team, like I know you do. Just growing up watching him playing the position that I played for most of my time, just such a fun player to watch. So it'd be really, really incredible to see him be a part of this project.
Yeah, I'd love to see Pirlo involved with this project as well. Ryan, how about you, or Nick, or George, or anyone else?
Yeah, George. What does George got? He's the one asking it.
Yeah.
I think I've made my way through the list for the most of them. Now you got them, harassing each other about football in there. Sorry guys, if I missed any of your questions back up top and Nick hasn't captured them right here, feel free to repost them so we make sure we don't miss anything, guys.
I'm just having a bit of a scroll back.
Yeah, whoever Nick picks has to have some epic hair.
I don't think I'm qualified to talk about football icons. Although the New Zealand national team was in the headlines, I can't remember which World Cup it was. Maybe it was the previous one, because we were unbeaten throughout the entire thing, which basically means that I think we drew twice and then got knocked out. But regardless, the fact that our national team is pretty much, well, it is amateurs, right? They all work day jobs and play a bit of football and headed off to a world competition was still pretty impressive. Obviously, rugby a lot more popular here, cricket as well, and those two sports are also probably cricket more so than rugby, right? In terms of the wide-reaching appeal. Maybe some of the same kind of countries where football is popular, but say you look at New Zealand, Australia, India, Pakistan, UK, huge following, right? Maybe slightly more civilized than the average football fan. Can I say that? But certainly equivalent when it comes to passion. And in terms of breaking into other markets, obviously there's a lot of very unusual sports that go on in the United States. So that would be potential logical ways to expand into new markets. But yeah, as I said before, right? You pick any country, any person worldwide, and there'll be some sport that if they don't play, they're certainly interested in. So yeah, football is just the start by the sides of things.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as I mentioned at the start, we have indeed run over the hour, an hour 10 so far, and I'm sure, given all the information that's been shared here and the, I suppose, depth of the partnership between ARC and Starcard, that this absolutely will not be the last AMA that we have together. In the future, perhaps there may be one over in the Starcard Discord, or potentially on other platforms such as YouTube, I do know that there have been some requests from the community about hosting AMAs on other platforms. We always, we try as much as we can to keep an eye out for requests and comments from all of you guys. And while we may not reply immediately in every case, we do take on board all of this feedback. So that is something absolutely that we're working at. Just to, I guess, clarify, there are still some benefits that we see in terms of hosting on Discord when it comes to, say, airdrops and the ability to kind of build a community and build that engagement with all of the GIFs and the memes and reactions that we all love. So at the same time, we're obviously, as I said, open to feedback, and at the end of the day, we want to give the people what they want. So we'll look at the possibility of running more AMAs on other platforms in the future. I'm guessing that we'll need a bit of time perhaps for all of this information, all of this alpha to be digested. So maybe, what do we think, closer towards the start of round one opening, which is in just under 2 weeks, we can have another AMA, more airdrops, updates on progress, and perhaps by then everyone's had more of an opportunity to do a bit of research, click around the Starcard site, which I would encourage everyone to do. It is a very nice website, slightly jealous, I have to say, a lot of info there. Read through the white paper. A lot of the concepts and ideas that have been talked about here are very well summarized in that. And yeah, as per usual, if you've got any other kind of remaining questions that weren't covered off, drop them in the AMA questions channel, or if you're over in the Starcard Sports Games Discord, which I'm guessing by now everyone on the call probably is, the guys over there will be well placed to answer your questions as well. So yeah, thanks for coming along, everyone in the audience. And Steve, thanks for answering all of the great questions that everyone's had. It's clear that there's a lot of interest. So we're looking forward to working with you guys as both of our projects continue to develop. And there's going to be some exciting weeks and months ahead for everyone involved, I think.
Absolutely. We're super excited to be working with you, and super excited to be, a part of this community. And Alex and I, we're always available. Feel free to pop us messages and jump over to our Discord to ask us any questions. We're going to set a goal here to announce our first legend prior to that 415. We're also going to set a goal of sharing at least a sneak peek of the first NFT prior to that 415. So we've got work to do on our end, but we're really excited about it.
Literally non-stop alpha throughout this AMA. We better cut it off before people's heads explode from too much alpha and too much information. But yeah, thanks again for everyone listening. Thanks to the Starcard team for coming along and having a chat to us. And we'll look forward to all of those updates and future AMAs to come. Again, as I mentioned at the start, and as Ryan mentioned, this AMA has been recorded. We will make both the entire recording available, and for those of you who perhaps weren't able to join at all, and for whatever reason think that an hour 15 is a bit too long to listen through, we'll make some snippets available separately. But honestly, again, the quality of all the information that's shared, I don't know why you wouldn't want to listen to this whole thing. It's been a great chat, and looking forward to many more to come. Thanks, everyone.